but he did, and he lasted. I think he lasted about a week and a half.
Hello, welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is Anton bringing to you another West Ham Daily, and it's all about the man of the moment, the man we're talking about all the time, the man you're seeing in the news, the papers, you name it, even on West Ham TV on your YouTube channel. It is David Moyes as West Ham return to Premier League duty on Boxing Day as we travel to the Emirates to take on Arsenal, and it's not a great record we've got against those top clubs away from home, is it? But we've got to live and hope and just think we can try and get something out of the result. You know, I see a lot of people that are feeling negative. I see it, I feel it to a certain extent, but I've got, in my head, I've got more time. I'm not going to go over it again. I've done it several times with you guys on the show and explain to you that why I think the way I think. So we're going to dissect a little bit of what David Moyes actually said. Now, there's been an interview that he did with TalkSport and also a video that was put out on the West Ham YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't had a chance, go and watch that video. That's quite interesting as well. But if you are new around here, then, you know, we always say to you, go and hit that subscribe button. We're on the march towards 20,000 subscribers, so we would appreciate you hitting that cheeky button. Of course, on top of that, if you're interested in becoming a channel member, then click that join option, leave feedback, leave it in the comments, and of course hit the thumbs up as well if you are enjoying the content. We've got an exciting little present for you guys on Christmas Day, so keep your eye on the channel for Christmas Day, where hopefully you'll get a little cheeky surprise from maybe a couple of faces you recognize. And yeah, go and check out all the content we've done over the past couple of days. It's been busy, talking about transfer rumors, talking about players that could or could not be fit for the game coming up against Arsenal. Yeah, the next three games are big games for West Ham. I think it's more than 3 games, but I think what these next 3 games will determine for us is where Moyes' head is at, who he believes in the squad, and is there any form of change? Can he change? Will he change? Does he want to change? Does he believe in the team that he puts out week in and week out, especially with the returning players? But David Moyes did go on and insist that there was no need to panic, and that West Ham are not in a relegation battle and are instead in a battle to qualify for Europe again. Now, the West Ham boss sent a message of encouragement to fans, insisting his team is not far away from where he wants them to be, despite our position in the Premier League. West Ham did enjoy success last season under David Moyes with a memorable run to the Europa League semi-finals and a 7th place finish in the league, ensuring our spot in Europa Conference League this term. And that run deep into Europe and current form, having qualified from the conference group with 3 wins from 3, has built up some credit with Moyes with the fans, but has been put to test at times this season. Now, West Ham have failed to maintain our performance levels in the Premier League this term, having claimed just 4 wins from our opening 19 fixtures, including being beaten by Nottingham Forest and Everton in games many expected us to win. But we will resume action against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium on Boxing Day, with the club currently sitting in 16th in the table. Now, you could easily say supporters' moods have not been lifted by the team's form during our mid-season friendlies. And with the team just sitting 1 point above the bottom 3, fans will be dreading another relegation battle. But Moyes says that he and his team have their sights set firmly at the other end of the table, and insisting that they're still fighting for a European place despite our current position. Now, how could we foresee that? So the thing I always go on is we've played 15 games. We've got several new signings and we've not had a chance to bid them in. Now, Moyes does say that in the West Ham United YouTube video. If you go and listen to that, he talks about at the start of the season, not having Scamacca, not having Cornet available, obviously not having Aguerd available, players that he thought were going to come in and make an impact. And then when they were available, they weren't ready, and then he had to bed them in. And he says very clearly it's not easy to bed these players in. And he said that the difference between where West Ham are to where we should be is small margins. And he kind of elaborates a little bit more. He goes in and he talks about the Nottingham Forest game, for example, where we hit the bar and hit the post several times in that game. I really should have walked away with something from that game, but obviously got beat. The Liverpool game where we missed a penalty, and there's been several other occasions. The Chelsea game, which was a disaster from the VAR decision. And those are some of the results that can change West Ham seasons and the dynamics of where we are. And we are a couple of games and a couple of decent results from pushing ourselves up into a reasonably comfortable position. But equally, we're in a very difficult position where if we lose the next 3 games and lose them convincingly, then we could be staring at a relegation battle. I still think it's more than 3 games. People may think that's delusional. I think there's maybe 6, 7 games there for West Ham to really try and turn this around, for us to get over the halfway mark of the season, and see if Moyes can change the dynamics in the system of what's going on. And if he can't, then yeah, I'll hold my hand up and say it's time for a change. But right now, I'm willing to stick to my guns and back him until he can try and, flick it up and change it round. But when he was actually asked if West Ham were in a relegation battle this week, he went on and he said the following. He said, no, I think we're in a European battle to try and get back into Europe like we've done in the last 2 years. I think we've not been that far away in any of our results, and it sounds a long way away. It probably sounds far-fetched at the moment, but I genuinely think we're not that far away and expect us to get closer to the top than I do the bottom. Pre-season targets have changed because I was hoping that I would be in Europe, and I'm now saying that I still want to be challenging for Europe. I think I can do that in the second part of the season, so I have to do that. It's a big job, but I didn't think I was going to be easy in the last 2 years, and it wasn't, and it's certainly not going to be easy this year also. So, he's again, on the back of those comments, which was what he said to Talk Sport, if you go and listen to his comments on the West Ham YouTube channel, he actually says that he absolutely addresses the fact that things weren't great from the turn of the year. He actually says that we just absolutely stopped scoring goals. We couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and that was having a massive impact on us. But what carried us was the European glory that we had. We didn't obviously go on to win it. We should have got to the final. Minimum requirement, we should have got to the final of that from the journey we were on, which is what makes that European journey so disappointing to get knocked out in the semi-finals. But he does understand that things need to change, and I think there is an element of him trying to work behind the scenes, and I think players coming back will help. Again, you can call me delusional all you want, but we will have to wait and see. Now, listen, he did go on, and when he was pressed about potential new signings coming in January, he says that really, let me read out to you exactly what he actually said. He said, nah, I don't think we will, because I have to say the board did really well by us and spent a good amount of money in the summer. We brought in 9 new players, which is more than anybody would want to do, really. But we needed it because we've got a European campaign again, and because the amount of games we played in the year before, even this season, I think we've played more games than any other Premier League team at this stage of the season. So we needed to add these players. But January will probably be a no, unless we need something through injury or someone comes in available. But in truth, I don't see us doing much business. So it's interesting because obviously as a YouTube channel, we report the links. We always state at the start when these links come up that what's the element of truth in them, or we're reporting what the reports are saying. But I do think he would be in the market for something, with the Wan-Bissaka deal potentially kicking about, the young lad from, or not the young lad, 27-year-old Croatian international from Celtic as well. They're asking for a lot of money for him. Go and check out the video I did yesterday on him. But I think he will be intrigued to see what's out there and see what can add value. Now, no manager would knock back a player that would add utter value to the squad. That's why when we talk about the Wan-Bissaka, that could be a similar deal to what the Jesse Lingard situation will be. But that won't be a message that West Ham fans will want to hear. And with West Ham now preparing for a festive face-off with our London rivals Arsenal, and they're flying high in the Premier League, currently 5 points clear at the top of the table. But they have, and they will want to prove a point that they can stay there, that they can maintain that level when West Ham come to the Emirates. And Moyes is looking forward to that battle 100%. He will be. He'll be looking forward to that battle. But what's interesting is that I've made a comment on the channel in a text thing, and I wanted to elaborate on it. But when I said form goes out the window, I didn't mean it essentially as such as, like, you know, we forget where Arsenal are, we forget where West Ham are. But we essentially have just gone through a pre-season, a mid-winter pre-season, 6 weeks without football. We're coming back. We don't know where our heads are at playing in the Premier League. The first game of a season can be wild. It can be. So when I say throw everything out the window, it's a little bit like, where's everyone at? Where's the fitness levels at? Where's the players at? You know, Arsenal have built their season this season. They've built a really good, strong team. They've stuck by Mikel Arteta, but they've built their team around the man up top and Gabriel Jesus. And what's their other get-out clause? Now, I'm not saying that because he's missing, that's going to give West Ham automatically the points. But what does that do for them? What impact does that have? How do their other players who've come back from international duty react back in the club situation? And that could be the same for West Ham. The difference between West Ham and Arsenal is that you could have players that have never been in that position before that are kind of gliding and believe in their natural ability and probably would think, oh, well, we'll naturally stay there. It's West Ham, they're struggling, we'll deal with that. But that's a dangerous position to be in when you've got nothing to lose as West Ham. And what we want to see as West Ham fans is a manager who's willing to try something different, because what's been happening is, you know, not being great, really, and not favoritizing specific players. This week, we've seen it. The West Ham have been all over it. Paqueta's back. He's back in training. He's looking fit. He's looking ready to rock and roll. You've got Declan Rice back. He's returned to the club, fit, ready to rock and roll. And these two players, for me, make the biggest difference for our club in terms of going forward. You know, what I would love to see, which is probably what you would love to see, is someone like Paqueta drop in deep or drop in alongside Declan Rice, therefore resting Tommy Souček onto the bench. This is one of the biggest decisions that David Moyes would make if he was to try and convince fans that he is thinking differently. But equally, though, we're not football managers, so do we know what's right? We think we do sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily mean we are right. But this is a decision that I think if Moyes was to make, it would be a huge decision. It would give the freedom to Paqueta to do what he does, which is flourish with the ball, glide up and down the park, hold on to play, frustrate the opposition, and penetrate balls through the middle of the park. Declan Rice just does what he does for England and what he previously did for West Ham, and every now and then get the ability and the allowance to drive forward, because he is very, very good at driving forward. That's just where you could start to question whether or not you would put the third central midfielder in alongside them to give them to a potential bit of protection. Someone like Flynn Downs. You know, you never know. Moyes, he went on and he spoke about Arsenal. He said they've got a point to prove. He said it's a great game to start because Arsenal are playing so well. They've changed dramatically and they're playing some really good stuff. So it's a tough game for us. But why not? You've got to play everybody, and you've got to. You've had some good games over the last few seasons against Arsenal. So I'm looking forward to another one. But what are you feeling in relation to this? I did a show over the past couple of days with other channels, and we're all talking about who, where, what West Ham, like what the predictions will be, and nobody's predicting West Ham with a chance. For me, it's all upon how we set the tone from the start in terms of picking the team and the formation. If it's the same old, I will feel slightly negative going into the game, and I don't like feeling negative going into the game. Neither do you. We're sweating on a few players with fitness. Is Antonio fit? We're hearing that he could be available to be picked for the game as well. You'll hear from me on another piece talking about Jared Bowen potentially leading the line. If Scamacca doesn't make the game, do you risk Antonio for this game, considering you've got the next two fixtures coming up, who Antonio, Scamacca, and all these players could be so vital for? So vital. But what we do know is things need to change. They absolutely do. We know for a fact things need to change. We can't keep going on the trajectory that we are. And Moyes knows that. I listened to that video again today on the West Ham website, and It was clear as mustard that he knows that things haven't gone right. He clearly stated things have not gone right, and we need to change that. So it's positive to hear that he's saying that we're getting closer to where we want to be. But what we do need is players firing on all cylinders. We are creating chances. We're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. And that's what we need to achieve in order to progress up this league. Absolutely. So all I want for Christmas is West Ham to move up this league. All I want for Christmas is, ideally, it'd be nice to have some few signings coming in. What will we get? Who knows? Write it on your Santa list and get that request in. It's going to be an interesting Boxing Day, isn't it? If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. Why not? Why not? Please, if you're interested in becoming a channel member, then click the join option, of course, as well. Leave a comment. Let us know your feedback on today's show and all the shows as well. Hit your thumbs up. And we will be back, of course, with a Hammers Headlines later on. Stay safe. And, of course, come on, you Iron.